Hello everybody, my name is Jeff Kirby and today I will be giving you a tutorial on using and installing Oracle's VirtualBox. And the first thing that you want to do is go to your internet browser, look up virtualbox.org, go to Downloads, and choose your operating system, whichever operating system you have on your computer. Go to the download link next to it, click it, and you click Run to start the download. A lot of times what you can do is while this is downloading, you can go to End User Documents and look up some of the hardware requirements just to make sure that your system meets the minimum requirements on memory and processor and hard drive. You want to make sure that there's plenty of space on your hard drive to do virtual machines, because generally a virtual machine is 5 to 50 gigabytes of hard drive space each. I usually do mine at 20. Anyway, once the download is finished, you go to Run. Give it a minute to start up. Then it's going to start your installation wizard, which the first thing you want to do is hit Next. Then it's going to give you a couple of options that you can choose from for specific things that you want installed or don't want installed. I'm just going to leave it the default because that's all that I need for this system. You can also change where you'd like it to be located on your hard drive. This is for the host machine. And I'm going to also leave that the default and click Next. You can choose to create a shortcut on the desktop or create a shortcut in the quick launch bar. I prefer using desktop shortcuts, so I'm going to uncheck that and hit Next. It's warning me that it is going to interfere with the network card on this computer, so I don't want to be browsing the internet while I'm trying to install this, obviously. So I'm going to click Yes, and then I'm going to click Install. Okay, once the installation is finished, you can see that it gives you this option to start VirtualBox immediately after the installation. I'm going to uncheck this and click Finish so that I can show you how to get there manually. What you'll want to do to start VirtualBox is go to Start Menu, All Programs, Oracle VirtualBox, and Oracle VirtualBox, and click on it. It'll start right up. Now, what I'm going to show you is how to set up a basic virtual machine on VirtualBox. It's very simple. All you do is go to New, type in a name for your virtual machine. I'm going to name it Windows XP, and I'm going to say that it's a Microsoft Windows operating system and it's Windows XP. It'll have a selection of different operating systems. If it's not there, you can put Other. Then I'm going to click Next. Now at this window, it asks you how much memory you would like this virtual machine to be able to use from the host machine. Now, I recommend setting it to about 512 megabytes, but this is only if your system can handle it. You don't want to do this if you only have 2 gigabytes of memory on your computer, because it'll slow down your host system. Now it's asking me to create a virtual hard drive. I can do one later, or I can go ahead and set one up now. I'm going to create one now just so that you can see how it's done. VirtualBox disk image, these are the different types of hard drives that you can set up. For this tutorial, I'm going to use the default. Then you can choose between dynamically allocated and fixed size hard drives. And a dynamically allocated hard drive will basically only use the amount of data that the virtual machine is using currently on your physical hard drive. So this saves space on your hard drive. If you have a smaller hard drive, you might want to do this. I prefer to do fixed size, but it it doesn't really matter which way you do it. It just depends on your hard drive space. I'm going to leave it dynamically and go to the next window. This is where you choose the maximum size of your dynamic hard drive. For this one, I'm going to leave it 10 gigabytes because that's plenty of size. Most of them I'll go up to 20 gigabytes with. But for this one, I'm just going to leave it at 10. And that is all that you have to do to create your own virtual machine. Now, if you wanted to change some settings on this machine, you go to Settings. Say you wanted to add a description. Have to give it a minute to go into the settings. You can go into Description here under the General tab and add a description to this virtual machine. Under Advanced, you can change the actual location of the Windows XP files in your virtual machine. And here you can change the name of the virtual machine and the operating system information. You can go to System and change the memory or the processors that are used for this. So if you wanted to use more than one of your processors, you could set it here. Right now I only have one enabled on this computer. Anyway, you can also enable your network or disable it. By default it's disabled. I don't really know why. Under Display, you can set how much memory you'd like to be used on this virtual machine from your video card. And you can also change the number of monitors that are able to connect to it. You can also enable 3D acceleration. I generally like to have 3D acceleration and have at least 32 megabytes of video memory. Then you can go to Storage, and basically this is where you can change information on your current hard drive, or you can add new hard drives to this virtual machine. On the Audio tab, you can enable or disable the audio. Network tab, you can have multiple adapters connected. So by default you have the one NAT adapter, which is what connects to your host machine and to the internet for the virtual machine. You could enable another and select a wireless adapter if you had a wireless network you were connecting to, or any other network adapter on your system. And of course you have serial ports. You can enable these if you want. It's not necessary. You would only really use this if you were connecting a joystick to this computer or this virtual machine, or if you were planning on using an old serial printer or another legacy device of that sort. Under the USB tab, you can enable USB controllers, and you can enable the USB 2.0 controller, which if you do this, it'll allow you to see all of the USB devices connect to your computer. You can add filters for each type of USB device that is currently connected. Right now I don't have any, so it doesn't list any. Under shared folders, you could create a folder here to share between your host system and your virtual machine or other virtual machines. You can have this shared between multiple virtual machines. And basically just click OK and it'll save your settings, and there you go. And if you wanted to go ahead and start installing an operating system on this virtual machine, because right now there's nothing there, I'll show you what it looks like if I start it. Yep. Start. Voila, you note that there is nothing on this virtual machine. No bootable medium found. Now the way to resolve this would be going to Devices and selecting a disk drive that has an operating system on it. Or you can choose a virtual CD or DVD if you have an image of an operating system that you'd like to put on here. And this concludes the tutorial that I have for you today.